it's so funny that people want this are the people that didn't make the right choices. Tax inheritance at 100%, okay? So it's the only fair choice, says Lewis Goodall, okay? I don't know who this guy is. He's talking about tax, and by the way, this is not just him talking about it. I don't know who this fellow is, but he's a presenter for LBC, co-host of News Agent Podcast, argues for radical 100% inheritance tax to address wealth inequality, stating, Rob, if you want to play the clip, go for it.
What we've got at the moment is an aristocracy of wealth in this country. It's also true of the United States as well. So what I would do, and I wouldn't be opposed to, by the way, I wouldn't be opposed to 100% inheritance tax. Or maybe let's say 99%. You know, my rule might be that if you can put it in 2p bags, then you can hand it over. That's fine. 99, 95%. I'm being provocative, but you see what I mean. I would not be against a far higher rate of inheritance tax than we have at the moment, which is 40% above a certain threshold. I wouldn't be opposed to putting that to 50%, 60%, 70%. Why? Because I think the quid pro quo should be twofold. One, that helps fund public services, which actually helps level the playing field in achieving a true meritocracy. Two, it will help us reduce taxes on income. Because at the end of the day, I want to incentivize work. I want to incentivize productivity. I want to incentivize people to get up off their backsides and do more. You don't have a right to inherit.
What?
You should have a right to work while you're alive and keep more of your own money. That to me is more important, way more important, than your right to just inherit some money from mommy and daddy that you did nothing to earn.
So wait. So can I understand this guy correctly? He's saying...
Say you have $20 million.
And I die, and I want to give it to my family.
You have 3 kids. He thinks your kids should get 0 and 100% of it goes to the government.
I hope this guy never, ever gets into
By the way, he's not alone. There's a lot of liberals like him that
I can imagine.
that believe in this. So, Tom, your thoughts on this 100% inheritance tax that I think Elizabeth Warren and others have also spewed this type of nonsense with inheritance tax. Where do you stand with this?
Well, I'll start with this guy. So it's not fair for one guy to build a company and build a bunch of jobs for people and then his kids to inherit that. It's not fair for one. But in the UK, they celebrate the Champions League and only one team wins. It's the best team, and that's 2.7 out of the 36 teams. You see where I'm going, Vinny? Mm-hmm. So on one side of life, we celebrate one rising above. On the other side of life, we're jealous of it. Which side do you want?
Yeah.
Which side do you want? And how do you and you say, well, they worked harder. They're the Champions League. Your team didn't play defense. Your team was lazy. Your team was poorly led. I could say the same thing about citizens. And I love this. I make this analogy for people, and it causes people to kind of back off their argument a little bit, except the ones that are just basically envious. They're envious. And their justification is what I think is a very weak statement that he made. It's like, and there would be more for public services. They're printing money and you're not getting public services. So you're saying if government gets money from a different source, government suddenly is going to be better at providing public services? No, you're justifying your greed and your envy with, oh, well, public service will be there and everyone will get it. That's so untrue. And this is when you have people who didn't do it, when you have bureaucrats making laws about businesses, that's when businesses get constrained and overregulated. So when you have bureaucrats making laws about inheritance, you be careful about taking away that incentive to accumulate. Be careful.
So Tommy, right now, if I had $20 million and I passed away and I have 2 kids, how much is tax going on?
Can I explain this to you?
Yeah, go.
I'm going to tell you this tax thing. I had to learn the hard way, so to speak. We get taxed to oblivion in this country. We all know about income tax and federal and state and local, and people are moving out of New York and California. Then you have employment tax, you have payroll tax, you have mortgage tax, you have gas, you have a car, you have your VAT tax. But then here's the deal: you pay all these taxes, and then you die. And there's something called the estate tax, the death tax. I learned this because every year with Welcome Funds, my other company, I would go to this event called the Heckerling Estate Planning Conference. It's put on by the University of Miami. And the entire premise of the conference is all the leading estate planning attorneys, CPAs, all the biggest and the biggest and the biggest tax professionals meet up at this one massive meeting. And the whole premise is, how do we save our clients, our rich, wealthy clients, taxes when they die? They're putting together trusts and legacy trusts and life insurance and ILETs. And the whole premise is, let's save that money when these people die. You get taxed to oblivion, and even when you die. And what you have is what's called an exemption. And the Republicans always try to raise it. I think under George W. Bush and over Trump, they made it collectively 20 million, I want to say. Under Obama, he brought it down to 5 million. Because the Democrats are always looking for more money to basically help pay for things. So they'll tax. Republicans are like, listen, you already paid $100 million of tax in your life. Now you want another 20 million of death tax? So the whole premise is it's taxed to oblivion. And even at your death, the tax man's going to say,
how
pay
much?
up,
so
sucker.
How much, Adam, if I want to give my I die and I have 20 million and I want to give it to my kids, how much is the government going to take before they get it?
Well, it depends on what the exemption is. It depends if you're married and like that. But right now, the current exemption, ask what the current
Don't
estate.
say it's 40.
No. What's, Rob?
How much would it be, Pat?
The current estate tax
14
exemption.
million.
I want to say when you're
14
married,
million.
it's...
So here's what would happen if you're not married, you're single, you got 20 million bucks. The first 14 million, it would be exempt. So you're not paying tax on the first 14.
Gotcha.
So
But you would
6,
pay on the 6, say whatever progressive tax, the same way they do it, 40% on it. So 40% on the 6 million, you would pay $2.4 million.
Wow.
With 2.4 million. So really you're paying 2.4 million on 20 million bucks, right? But if you have $100 million, you wouldn't pay anything on the first 14, and you would pay it on the 86. The 86 would still be taxed at 40%. So 40% of 86, you're paying 34 million bucks on the number.
money you've already been taxed on.
So you make the money. So let's just say you make $1 million in a year. Half of it goes towards taxes.
Yep.
You keep the $500,000. Okay. Then you take that $500,000. Everything you buy, you're paying taxes on it. You put that $500,000. Say you start saving it over the years. Later on the $500,000. So the argument against it is the fact that you're getting taxed on the money you already pay taxes on the money that you spend that was already taxed. Why am I paying more taxes? In the States, I think Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders made the argument for 65% estate taxes, period. But this goes back to the following. Why punish the people that made the right choices? Why punish the people that were disciplined with their finances long term? I got a kid over at the house yesterday with his family. You know who these guys are, soccer. We've spent time with the family. And he starts asking me questions, 11-year-old kid. You know, I want to get into the investment field, and I'm thinking about starting to invest now and all this other stuff. And I'm showing him numbers. I said, you know, Warren Buffett at 50 years old was worth $50 million. And he's worth $200 billion right now. What? Yeah, you know how that happened? How? Compound interest. He just had his money working for him. You know, and he kept growing and growing and growing and growing and growing it. And then eventually he's where he's at right now. But guess what? He's still living in the same house he lived in Nebraska, the $700,000 house. He's still living in the same house. He can afford to buy the biggest house in America. He didn't. He played a very different game. Not the most exciting life he lived. He lived a very different life, but the guy's worth a couple $100 billion. But don't punish the person that was disciplined in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s so they can pass that down to their kids. Let them make the decision on what to do it. You're going to hear some of these thoughts. Tom, were you going to say something or no?
No, you
right.
basically hit it as you were covering those points.
Fantastic.
I'm with you.
We want to show you the campus, especially those of you guys that are going to the vault. So if you've already bought a ticket, great. Rob's going to put the link here for you to go register. If you bought a ticket, you get to bring a guest with you just to see the tour. Some of you guys are going to be able to get on private jets and actually see what a private jet's like. And some of you guys are going to see some exotic cars. And I'm not just talking about some regular cars. I'm talking some very weird-looking cars that cost a couple $1 million. That'll be this Wednesday. If you haven't yet bought your ticket, we are literally 2 weeks away from the Vault Conference. This is when all of a sudden everybody starts buying the tickets and, oh, my God, I got to get the ticket. I got to go, which is great. But this is causing tickets to sell out as well. If you're somebody that hasn't yet purchased your ticket, go to thevaultconference.com, thevaultconference.com. Rob, can you put the link below? Thevaultconference.com. If we have a QR code for them to go there as well, get yourself a ticket. Generals will be able to network with around 400-500 people. Platinums and executives will get a tour by a couple of our associates. Anybody that's got a founder or CEO ticket, I'm going to be giving you a tour of the entire facility. Excited to see everybody here. We're going to have some hors d'oeuvres, some food. it's going to be you'll see stuff before a lot of other people will see it. So again, if you're in South Florida or surrounding, people are traveling from other countries here to just come for this. But if you haven't yet, go to thevaultconference.com, get your ticket, and go register with the link below. Add a guest. We'll see you here in 48 hours. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.